Hi, good morning. Today I want to explain that why I want a layer system, or let's say dependency injection. So many times when I talk about dependency injection, people just say, okay, you can use constructor injector. And I always feel very inconvenienced, to be honest. So today I want to make a small video to explain why I don't like it and what is my choice. So firstly, let's see our original way to inject our components. So suppose we are in a bank system and we allow user to create a new account. So first thing is yeah, we need to check if this email is for the account is existing. So here you have account is exists, and here you need to double check. So if the register happened and it has been failed many times, we want to raise alert. So here we will say monitor start alert, right? And this is email. So here, okay, we alert failure. Now let's say here I will say we want to enable this alert. If it's enabled, we alert. Otherwise, we don't, right? So this enable, suppose we need to make it configurable. So it will read from somewhere, maybe from some file or maybe some RESTful services. Both are okay. But to do so, now we have a problem. We need to do config, right? Maybe some config, something like that. And is that enough? No, because we need to make config here and here as well. And in our real world, we might have 5 or 6 nested call, and all the way up, we should make the config as a new parameter. And also for this guy, for contours, maybe it will call other functions, and each of them has their own config, which will make your config parameter become a massive, right? Or some people will say, okay, let's make a huge config. So everybody will use it, and everybody will be so here you put some huge config. But now leads another question. Here I only have a monitor, and when I write this code, I only know what I need. If you put a huge config here, then this function become unreusable, because next time other team will not have the same configuration at all. So it's very difficult to reuse, right? Okay, now we have third choice. Yes, we don't inject config from outside. We just read the file from here and get the config. The problem is, if you did so, then your read file will spread in your code everywhere. So that's a messy. Like, for example, if your boss asks you to move all the config file to another place, then you have to change the code here and there, and very easy code mistake, very easy to crash your code, right? So I don't want to do that. So I have some principles. So if this guy needs configuration, the configure should be only for this guy. It should know nothing about other methods. And also, if you call some method, I want you know nothing about this guy needs config, because this guy needs what is not something I need to worry, right? You need to configure, you need to some outside settings. Why should I worry about that? I'm an upper level. You are a lower level. So I should know nothing about you. I just call your function and provide what I can provide. If you need something, say enable alert, I don't have this configuration. I don't know what, right? Maybe you changed your file before you need, now you don't need. Then I have to change my code as well. That's not fun, right? So my idea is, whatever you change, I only call this interface. And I only put what I can provide, not anything else. So this called a layer. So in my layer, I only consider everything I need to consider, not your task. So to achieve it, I have to introduce a new tool called zlayer. Lots of people already talking about zlayer, but I didn't see many people notice this layer stuff and didn't treat it serious. So here I want to give you a try. Let's first run it. So I wrote a small application. You see we have create account, we can check account available. So these are two things, right? We have create account. Then we print create account. Then we grab a service, something called a service, and get the account tool. Using this account tool to validate my name, my email, and my password. Okay. And inside it, you can see here, it tries to grab the monitor, okay, and call the monitor alert failure retries, right? Okay. And inside here, this is the interesting part. So same, we also need a configuration, but we didn't open any file. We didn't call anything. We just say, I need a config here. Okay, I need a config. This is an interface. See, and this interface didn't do anything. It's just a declaration. Say, I need a config. And I define my config like this. So this is the config, what I need, and only for me, not for everybody. And nobody else will need this guy. And I don't know what other people need. I only need this guy. Okay, so this is my configuration. So I tell the program, say, here I need a configuration. I don't know where it is from. I don't know what it looks like, but anyway, you should give me, finally, you will give me monitor config, which defined here. I will use this config, say enable alert. Then I will print alert. Otherwise, I do nothing, right? Now, when we compose all of our business logic, and finally, when we run it, when we try to run this program, then we provide what they need. So they need account tools, they need monitors, and they need a config. So here I provide something called a config in memory. You see, it's in a config module. Nothing invading into the business logic. They are totally separated. And here, first thing is I read from a string. This is just a string. And I'm using the config source from Hawkins string to read it. And then inject it into the descriptor. So this descriptor will try to analyze your case class and automatically generates the config. That's it. These 3 lines of code resolve your config things. So now let's see. Let's try to change it to true, see if it works. Right? True. And let's run it. Yeah, so we have alert now. Right? And then if people say we need to switch it to file, so you know, if we in our test stage, maybe we just put a string here, right? But in the production, we need to read it from some file or from some service. Doesn't matter. We just simply change this line to read it from file. Nothing else needs to be changed. And it comes here, and the file is look like this one. Right? So we change it to false, see if it works. And we run it again, and we don't have alert. So the structure is super clear. So when you're working on your layer, you only consider what you need. You don't need to tell anybody. And when you call this guy, you don't need to worry about anything about configuration or here and there, those garbage things, or if our in Spark application, right? You don't need to bypass the Spark implicit. You don't need it. You just call it. No matter what he changed, you always using a consistent way to call your function. And all you need to do is just the first step is grab the service, then call the service. That's it. Also, in the top level, you don't need to know anything about the configuration, right? Yeah, we don't have any code related to configuration. Only when we try to run it, then we assemble our components. We provide this, provide that. Most of the time, I just change this, like this is in memory, right? I say configure file.live, then it reads from file. I say configure socket.live, then it reads from socket. So one single line change will change everything. So everywhere, if you read it, like you can say all of this configuration should be placed in a folder. Then later, if you change the folder, you just simply change one line of code. You don't have to find it here and there in your code. So that's what I think. I like this organization. Like, I don't know if you feel the same thing, same pain as I did. So lots of time when I nest into very deep level and I find I need to have some configuration, it's really a disaster to me. Okay. The other thing is I don't like the way say nested call. So you call this and this one call another one. Why? Yes, because I feel it's hard to understand the whole process. You have to dig into deep and deep and deep, and it's hard for you to build your imagination how this program works and what tasks they do. So most of the time I want to list all the steps in all the business logic in the same page. Only when if you have a huge for example, this validate could be very complex. Then you split it into another layer. This is what I'm doing now. Yes, this is another layer, right? This is a layer. So using layer, the benefit is later if you want to change this, you just simply change it, and I don't need to change anything here. I just put your new implements here. That's it. I will say this like in Perl, right? Yeah, so your business logic was decoupled from log, from config, from environment, from all of these things. They are decoupled. And you assemble those necessary components only when you try to run it. And if you change it, you don't need to touch anything about your business logic part. So these are several important concepts I want to introduce. So if you feel fun, just please let me know. And I'm thinking maybe we can introduce you in our future job. Also, there's another thing called the tagless finder. I call it tagless finder. And this one could do the same thing. But I haven't seen an existing framework applied it to provide the same thing as CO layer did. That's why I can't say I can use tagless finder to achieve everything like this for now. maybe I do more research in future. But I think this framework is quite important. No matter what you, how do you achieve it, but I need it, right? Otherwise, our refactory will be meaningless, to be honest. Yeah. So, okay. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Let's discuss it later.